Hey everybody, welcome to the second video in the Burned-In Teacher Method free guide on how to improve classroom behavior and improve your relationships with your administrators, your families, your students, and your coworkers in order to help you to be a happier and more fulfilled educator and to beat that burnout. Now I want to tell you, this is the second video, so you've now watched the video and learned a little bit about what burned in means. You also hopefully have not skipped the page where you watched the YouTube video about the rocks, pebbles, and sand. If you haven't done that yet, please go back to those pages and pay close attention to those videos because they are going to affect your success with the rest of this guide. I also want to let you know, I am walking you through this guide step by step. So if I look away from the camera, it's because I'm literally going through and making sure that I'm filling in any gaps that you may have as you try to understand the guide and how it's meant to help you. So what you need to remember is that if you put sand into the jar first, there would be no room for the rocks and the pebbles. And the rocks are the really important relationships that we're going to focus on right now. So if you go to the page that has the actual rocks and relationships, you'll notice that we also have B, U, and R. And that's because we want to begin where we are in these relationships. We want to try to understand what we're going to call your people. Your people are you, your students, their families, your administrator, and your coworkers. Those are your people, okay? And you're going to reflect on challenges that you have, challenges that your people have, okay? So something to consider here is, where is your relationship currently with your people? And what do you want to understand about them? And finally, what challenges did you learn that they have from these worksheets that we're going to go through together here in a second? And the next part of this is, of course, we're trying to lighten our workload and have better time management skills. So you have some things to try to understand about your relationship with work and your relationship with your personal life as well. So how much time are you currently spending after school working on schoolwork? How much time are you actually spending on the weekend doing your schoolwork? What are the most important things you can spend your time on? And what challenges are you really having with finding that balance between your work life and your personal life? So as you take time, by the way, to print these out if you'd like, these are the worksheets that go along with the relationships. The first page that you'll print out is that Rocks Relationships worksheet. And you'll notice here that it says Stephen Covey says. And this is actually from his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Stephen Covey actually says, you have to first seek to understand before trying to be understood. So that's what we're doing here. In order to build these relationships, you really need to seek to understand where your people are coming from before you can try to start teaching them and telling them what to do. You really do need to take time to put these rocks into your jar. So the first page is all about where you are now, your current reality, your begin where you are, that B. So what do you know about your students? What do you know about their families? What do you know about your administrator? And what do you know about your current work-life balance? So this is kind of a pre-step. So what do you know right now? So if you need to pause this video and actually take the time to write those out, that would be great. But if you're also just kind of reflecting in your mind, that's okay too. Next, the really important part is actually trying to understand and reflect on those challenges that you're having and that your people are having. So there's a whole list of different possible questions that you can ask your students, their families, your administrators, your coworkers, and of course, yourself. You'll notice though that there's one question that they all have in common, and that is, what is really hard for you? Or what is your current challenge? You taking the time to ask that as one of your last questions is really going to help you to understand their current reality and will help you to build your relationship as you get to know them better. Okay? So You may ask these questions in any format you want. You can do a Google form. You can send out questions via email to your families. You can actually call them up. You can set up a meeting with your administrator. You can actually have interviews with your students. And I should also mention, it doesn't matter if your school year has already started and you're 2 or 3 weeks in, or even 5 months in. Your students, your people will really appreciate you taking the time to get to know and understand them. So, what I want you to know is that don't move to pebbles unless you have a real plan to put into action to get to know your people and start to put those rocks into your jar. Because just like Stephen Covey says, understanding others before you try to get them to understand you is what's really important in building relationships and really creating lasting change in changing behaviors, not just of your students, but of the people that you work with every day. So please join the community and let us know what you've realized so far. And I'll see you in the next video.